I think for all the FM, Facebook, Amazon, all those big folks, at every company I enter, I'll find a Ghanaian talent in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Every company I enter, I'll find a Ghanaian tech talent in there. And when I come to Ghana, most of the businesses that are doing very well, technical leadership are Ghanaians. And I love that. For that matter, I'm going to give them a strong 9.5.
I saw that the minimum expenditure online was around 50 cedis for data and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, like, then that means if we are raising funds or making donations and we set the minimum at 50 cedis, it's actually cheap because everybody spends as little as that.
Out of the markets that both food is on in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
In the whole wide world, I repeat. The person who orders food a lot was from Ghana.
Yeah, I remember that. How many orders per day was that?
And no, the total orders was 1,000 plus.
Yeah. Hello everyone, welcome to Building Bytes podcast, where we tell relevant stories about the Ghanaian tech ecosystem, fueling innovation and driving growth in our digital tech ecosystem. So today is part 2 of the true state of our digital ecosystem. And before we move into the conversation, I want to start with what's happening in tech. Poga, what's happening in tech?
So MTN Groups plans to spin off its financial technology operations in 3 key markets. That's Uganda, Nigeria, and Ghana. Basically, this is to allow MasterCard have a big major stake in their operations in those markets. So basically that's it. So the group, which is Africa's largest carrier by sales, declared dividends of about 3.45 rands per share, beating the average estimates by Bloomberg. It plans to pay higher dividends to 3.70 rands a share for current financial year, and also in its statements on Monday. So basically they're spinning off a new financial service division to allow MasterCard to have a major stake in it, basically. What do you guys think about that? In Ghana, Nigeria, and Uganda.
And that's a good move. It brings out like the best of value for the business. Usually, if it's together, it's difficult to lose some of the entanglements. So when it's much clearer, you can clearly see the value of this. And I think for some of the line of businesses, some have higher market value than others. For example, definitely data will have higher market value than broadband. Than voice. Definitely Momo will have more market value as well in fintech era than, let's say, even data or fiber or broadband. So it brings out a better value of the business. You can even find out, some parts of the business where you want to either list or sell a stake or make a bigger return on, rather than bundling it into one. So I think that will be that's one of the reasons I think, or I believe, they are moving into that direction.
Yeah, for me, I can't wait to use MasterCard with my Momo account. So whatever they have to do to get this running, they should hurry up.
Yeah. And speaking maybe to regulators could also make that recommendation, since it can be easier to monitor transactions or cash flow and take taxes accountably. So that could be under perspective.
Don't mention taxes.
Anyway, my take would be also, the regulatory part. I think hopefully they do this with regulators, and we don't get to a stage where the regulator come in and was like, oh, I didn't know of this or anything like that. Hopefully they go along with the regulators and they keep them informed. So this week the president of Ghana's Twitter account got hacked. It was taken over for a brief while.
It's not a brief, please.
It's a brief.
They took over Sunday.
It was,
and they recovered it on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
It was one.
That's
tweet.
over 72 hours.
But it was one tweet.
It's not one tweet. There were multiple. 3. So the first one was the one he was speaking at Africa.
The tweet something.
Yeah, that was the first tweet. Yeah. The second one was to direct people to Solana.
Yeah.
And the third one was a quote tweet of the first tweet.
Okay.
And this was within a span of 72 hours.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is the account of, for me, account of a president of a sovereign nation, Ghana. and someone could hijack it for 72 hours.
I think I believe there could be some kind of recovery, but definitely like hackers, there are many ways of entry points. I mean, I've witnessed a public figure's account also getting hacked where they covered it, but only to find out that the hacker created a loophole for himself. Such that the book can have access to it, but it can still goes with a particular key, which later on they realize that still the person that has access, they have to change some of those keys. So they could have gotten access earlier, but definitely the hacker had found other ways.
No.
But just like you said, it shouldn't come to that for a president to feel. Yeah, it shouldn't. Like account should be recovered in less than an hour. You should be able to, if he has the proper verifications, which I saw you recommend.
But I feel for a president of a nation, you should be using the green hashtag.
Yeah.
The green badge, which I think comes
Not
with
verified?
He uses the blue one, the paid one,
which I think he paid for.
pays.
The grey, I think, comes with some extra
more
verification
gaps,
and some affiliation with directly with Twitter. They call themselves X now, but with Twitter, and I think it helps, right? But for the accounts to go down for like 72 hours, and I also think like we didn't see it to be an issue. Like it was business as usual.
I think maybe the few on Twitter were the ones who really paid attention to it. But for people out of Twitter, they feel like it's another like online thing. They resolve it. It's not killing anybody. It's not spoiling anything. But per standards now, where we see a lot of direct communications on Twitter, I think on X it shouldn't have happened. I agree. It shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But a good thing is they've recovered it.
Yes, but also they've been a little bit silent on it.
They didn't mention what happened.
No. So
what caused
it was routed through the cybersecurity.
It was the guy's first day. It was his first day on the job too.
Anyway, congrats to Dr. Arnold Kavopo on being appointed as the chief executive officer of Ghana Cybersecurity.
So what's
data protection. Yeah.
Has there been any statement on what exactly happened?
No,
not yet. But the only people
the cybersecurity put out a communique, a generic communique, and I think they deleted it after a while. I don't think they've
I think maybe they've not gotten a full grasp of the conversation of the situation, so they want to really like figure it out.
Oh, it's embarrassing. They don't want to release it.
Oh, no matter how
we will not want to speculate, but
exactly.
I mean, I don't want to speculate. We will not speculate. But people lost money through the scam, the Solana scam, the meme coin. People lost money, and people were also jubilating when the president tweeted the Solana.
They're happy that
they're happy. Like president is for one speaking their language.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, okay. So the next news item is XM Pharma CEO Nana Duffier launches new world planning platform, Celery, alongside with Jude Ado. So yeah, basically this a world planning platform. I tried it out. I mean, this was my first time seeing it, but it was okay. Maybe I need to delve it in more to understand what's happening.
Okay, what sense? Was the product valuable? Was the functioning better?
I mean, I just tried it today, so I'm yet to use it to see if it's valuable. You just put in your financial data, you know, your salary, your retirement plans, you know, at what age you're time. I was feeling a little bit lazy to do the process, but I think I put in some energy to do it, and
I also started. Once I saw the steppers and then I closed it.
Yeah, I almost closed it.
I thought I was the only one. I didn't even feel.
Let me give it a try and see. But
also, I'm not their target audience. So
when the dashboard came up, I couldn't understand much. It was a little bit more, a little bit, let's say, all over the place, or a lot for me to consume. But hopefully, let's see how they plan to help people with. It's AI powered. So yeah, hopefully, and also they are pricing.
And it's surprising too. What's the price?
Yeah, I think it starts from $299. Yeah, per year.
Dollars
per year. Okay. $299. 3 digits or two.
$299. $299.
Okay,
not
so that's
$2.99.
$300 divided by 12.
Yeah, target audience.
That'd be like is it $2 point something per month? So that's like under 50 cedis, right? Or like 50 cedis per month.
$399. $299.
$299. So that's like 50 cedis per month. not bad if you are making that much return. That's the point. Would you be making that much return?
Well, I'm happy. An ex C-suite professional of M-Pharma is building something.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about that. We are most likely in the future going to have an M-Pharma mafia. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. I mean, all what is learned whilst working with M-Pharma.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to, I don't want to use the word waste, but I mean, he's not going to waste by using that to build something and then solve people's problems.
But let's not forget, it seems the team has some experience in managing investments and having that, even to some extent, assets under management, which for Mr. Ado is it Mr. Ado?
Jude Ado.
Yeah, Mr. Ado, was mentioned to be around 150 million USD. That's a huge amount of a huge assets under management to offer. So even thinking from that perspective, I think there's already like things to invest the money in and maybe make a good return. But let's see how it goes.
Are they married?
It's just the one.
Yeah, that was my thoughts, but
but they are those.
Yeah, they are. Those.
Okay, maybe it's just a coincidence or something. But we are curious to know more about them and.
Yeah, I tried to search a little bit about them, but not much.
Okay. All right. Are we okay?
Yeah, that's all for what's happening in tech. To find more article, visit techleaders.africa.
I didn't do the MTN and
the MTN and
the cross-border payment.
Oh, is there news? I think.
And the brouhaha.
Okay.
Public sentiments.
No, I want to comment. So you can read.
So basically, what happened? So I think the Minister of Communication tweeted about people in the fintech industry reaching out to him about I don't know what their concern was, but
you don't know what their concern.
Someone is eating their pie.
Statement about MTN doing cross-border payments, basically, or cross-border transfers, how we term it. He made a statement about looking into it and addressing it, and also I think was it today?
Yeah.
Bank of Ghana made a statement addressing that issue that MTN has not been granted any license to operate remittance or anything of that sort, and it's under a pilot. That
the sandbox
BridgeX is running. With MTN. What do you call it? Yeah, BridgeX is running basically to do cross-border payments
on MTN's infrastructure.
Yeah, so they came into the marketplace that MTN will be is part of on the infrastructure, and also the next company they're looking at is J Money. To be part of it. So basically that's the news article that it was a news and it wasn't a news, and so your thoughts, you can make your comments.
I think I want to see it now.
Wow.
I want to say it now.
Why are you not saying it now?
I want to say it now.
But I think it's for some of us it's obvious. Maybe we could be wrong also. So if I'm wrong, I'm open to correction. But it clearly looks like it's a BridgeX platform
product
that is facilitated by facilitated by the MTN platform, whether
on MTN's infrastructure.
On MTN's infrastructure, basically.
MTN Ghana and MTN Nigeria's infrastructure,
which is laudable. That's the distribution channel they use to execute it, and it makes sense. Just that I don't know whether it's media or someone like push the whole MTN Ghana, MTN Nigeria agenda and it became the facts. But it's fine. I think it's just a product. It's a product like any other product. Making use of the infrastructure as a distribution.
They say it's in pilot, so let's see.
Yeah.
I think I was looking a little bit about the company, and it seems to be PSP Medium. And MTN is an electronic money issuer. So and maybe they have the software or the know-how to do the cross-border payments, and they are building it on MTN's platform. So I think one of the issues with some of these issues is that there is not much public information available on these things.
Somebody like breaking it down. I think like deep dives on like how some of the systems work and how it might not be a infrastructure owner's product.
And most of these companies are closed mouth. If you reach out to them, come explain it. I don't know, probably they don't like the PR. I don't know what their PR teams are doing, but I think there's an opportunity to put your company out there, build trusts.
Is it for
Republic,
MTN or for
For Bridgex?
Bridgex?
for people like Bridgex and even MTN, to open it up and what exactly is happening, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if the regulator is coaxing them to keep quiet or what exactly is happening. But I think more like upfront information, more PR would help people understand this. And
But some of the
people be
products don't
much
need PR.
comfortable.
That's what I wanted to say. So their focus is infrastructure and their focus is businesses.
Yeah.
So once the CEO knows me and knows about the product, that's enough for it to get a buy-in.
And it's interesting.
So public education doesn't really help that much. So for them, public education might just be for the benefit of the ecosystem. Like how we had Jeremy come talk about what Jumo is doing. It's just for the benefit of the ecosystem and get people know that things are happening. But in terms of directly impacting the
that's in the PR
doesn't
impact.
I would think your reputation would be much more important. Just clear the air because people are. I don't know.
They
which
don't have
people
to
reach
answer
out.
that. They don't have to answer that.
I mean, it's
it
not.
probably would have been the best case would have been MTN will say it's a new product on their thing, but they can also commit because of.
But it's not their product.
I don't think
it's not their
they
product, but it's
own,
on their infrastructure.
they own it to anybody to do that, but also it helps to. Like some of the issues, like the president got hacked, and nobody's saying exactly what's happened. I think it's become a culture where people don't talk about stuff. It happens, it has happened. I mean, the BOD comes to say, we've not granted them a license. It's a pilot. If some of these companies come out to help explain what exactly is happening, what's the collaboration, whose platform is being used, and whose knowledge
I
are we
think
running on
I think they
platform.
spoke with Tech Focus.
Yeah, representative.
Yeah, they spoke with Tech Focus. We'll leave a link to that if you want to read more.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I mean, the interesting thing is that I happened to recently get a call from someone who wanted to send money to Nigeria. Coincidentally, he asked me. I mentioned that, I had no direct way of doing that unless we get somebody that sends them. We send them Ghana cedis. And a friend of mine also that's trading between Ghana and Nigeria. And all of a sudden it made sense that there's actually some key market there. Maybe
There's a need.
The transactions we do between Nigeria.
I think we know people that have run platform like that.
Yeah.
Paul ran something like that back in the days.
Yeah.
So there's definitely the markets.
Yeah.
Then I don't know if anybody is worried, but they shouldn't be. It's just a market.
I think the worry is genuine because I have secured the cross-border payment license.
Yes.
I have it. It is that's my domain I play. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I wake up to a news that the biggest telco, which controls over more than 80% or 70% of the market, mobile money market, is coming into my space. Just imagine the number of audience who they already have.
Yeah.
They come to eat that much
From
more.
there.
Yeah. So I think the concern is genuine.
Well, but
I think it's business. Definitely, people be innovating.
That's
and
the thing.
they'll be approaching
like-
your area and all that. So
And once they test with Nigeria and it works.
definitely other markets.
Testing
I
around
think
markets.
there's been collaboration between other markets on MTN.
Yeah.
I think Ghana and Nigeria is like a different one, but I think there's about 5 markets.
Yeah, Uganda,
that
the East Africa region,
Yeah,
experience some
running-
transactions among
yeah,
themselves as
running.
well. So there's that.
Once it works,
It's
and MTN is like the biggest
Yeah, I
mobile
think-
money
But
company
it's going to
in
increase.
Africa.
It's going to increase. African trade. Cross border transactions.
But my revenue will also decrease.
But usually, most of the remittance cross border payments, I think it's not just Africa. They do more. It's more from Western European states to Africa rather than between
probably
Africa.
I'm working on a new product for that.
Oh,
And these guys
I think they have the rails for
I
that
think
already.
it's
They
a
have the
company
rails.
like Flutterwave.
Yeah.
They are signed up
Yeah.
basically to affect companies like that. So hopefully,
And they have the rails for it. Most fintech that has remittance or border transactions have the rails to have access to Tanzania, Kenya. There are ways they can push money there. Maybe it's just a license and approval issues. But I think beyond that, people have the technology to execute that. It's just that the big man is coming in. That's why it feels scary. But anyway, Puka, thanks again for the news. Moving into our talking bites. We are continuing this is the part 2 of the True State of Ghana's Tech and Digital Economy Scorecard edition. So we want to rate our digital ecosystem or digital economy, find out how we are playing. We looked at 5 indicators. We discussed 2 today. We are breaking down the other 3. And to start, we want to move into tech talent and workforce, where Puga, you're leading us on that. So, what's the reflection, the true reflection of Ghana's tech talent and workforce?
So yeah, I think for what exactly the exact number is around the place. There's no true number. We don't have the data to show like the true number of tech talents we have in the ecosystem, but we could say it's probably in the tens of thousands if you include like developers, product designers, and all those stuff. We could say it's probably in the tens of thousands. That's one. Yeah, their level of expertise. I think it ranges all across. You could find very newbies, and you could find very experienced people that have worked for international companies and come back to start their own companies. You can find people that have worked for like this Nigerian business outsourcing company, Andela. Yeah, people that have worked in Microsoft that have come back to the country to start their own stuff. So the level of expertise is like on a world class level. It's you can compete with anybody in anywhere in the world, and also we have people that are now building themselves. I think we say there's more middle level experts or engineers than top level, because we competing with the rest of the world, and there's very little space for people to make it out there and prove their own talents. So I think that's what also probably affects the ecosystem a little bit. People don't get that much opportunity to get to the world stage to prove their talents as well. Yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, it's very rich. We have a very rich tech talent ecosystem. Yeah, and yeah, in regards to that, I think we also exporting like very middle level and low class engineers to low, let's say beginner or entry level engineers to the world. There's a lot of like a lot of business outsourcing companies popping up. I think there's been a prediction of global talent shortage, especially in the tech field. So a lot of business outsourcing companies are setting shops in Ghana and hiring a lot of people from here, and exporting the talents to the West mainly. Yeah, other companies are setting up in the US just to facilitate that. I recently heard Melitech is in the US now. I believe just to get contracts from the US into the world. So yeah, the tech talent is very vibrant, and although most of it is nascent, we also have a lot of top level engineers in there as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a number on how many, I call them dev shops. How many dev shops that we have in Ghana currently? Is there like, you have like a number? Can we try like
What's a dev shop so that people who don't know?
Let's say business outsourcing or talent outsourcing companies.
for developers?
Yeah, basically companies that hire in Ghana. Most of them hire, train, and outsource to businesses. I think we would have a dozen or 2 dozen. I could count them. We have Amalitech, we have RGT, we have 10 Cable, we have DevOps Africa, we have
Remote tele.
Remote Tele, we have a Ejuma. Is it Ejuma?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Ejima,
Yeah,
Ejima.
Ejuma. We have the one for Build Cactus.
Yeah.
I think Build's business source in Cactus.
Yeah, Katos. Yeah.
We have a couple of other stuff. Yeah, I think we have a dozen or 2 dozen at most. So yeah, there's a number of them. It will look very small, but also like.
But what does that tell you, being a technical person? What does that tell you about our ecosystem?
I mean, I could take it from the positive side. I mean, we all know why some of these Western companies are hiring in Africa.
Because the talent is cheap.
Yes, that's one. They're looking for relatively cheap talent. I think probably in the West is a little bit expensive to hire there, And when you hire here, it's for some companies, if you want a simple tax being done, you don't want to put together a big team. That would be very expensive to build. Maybe your core business definitely is not to build up. It's just to support your business. And sorry, yeah, and I've seen some of these companies that benefits from hiring from this ecosystem, right? And people also hire from Asia, which is kind of I've not done the comparison. I don't know if it's relatively cheaper, but it's kind of cheap, and they seem to very fast in there. But I think the problem with hiring from Asia or some of these freelance platform is that you don't get the support that you need, right? So this business outsourcing company, they put together the structure to make sure that they secure your investments, and whatever products you build, you get the support that you need afterwards. So not just like get something in the market when you build and you're done and you don't get the support that you need. It tends to be very it's very expensive, and also the Asian market is a little bit far from the Western market, the time zone wise, and the African time zone is aligned, and although it's a little bit ahead of the US, it seems to work better with the Asian markets compared to the Asian markets in time zone wise. So I think more of these organizations are looking to collaborate. They're not looking for just talent to build stuff for them. They're looking to collaborate with them, work, in a Scrum and Agile way with them. So they work together with them. If they have issues, they solve it back to back. So yeah, I think that's what making the African markets, more attractive.
The Ghanaian market.
The Ghanaian market's more attractive, and also it's relatively cheaper, especially if you're paying in dollars.
So can we can we step away from the cheaper bit? So though it's cheaper, it also gets the work done, right?
Yes, I mean,
which means our developers are efficient.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they've been trained.
They've been trained, and they've been. As I said in my earlier submission, I mean, our developers, they compete on the world markets in Google, Microsoft, IBM, the top of the industries. So yeah, I mean, the talent is there, the experience is there. They've been trained. I think also what is happening in some of these business outsourcing companies like Turntable and the rest, they're investing into the talents. I mean, I think that's one thing probably the West has over Africa or Ghana per se. Companies invest into their talents, right? When they pick you up from the
when you say invest, what
they invest in training, certification, make sure you're growing and learning. So it's
not just get a job done and go home.
Yes, some of them is like a classic boot camp. I think companies like Militech and Turntable, they run like a classic boot camp approach. You come in, they make sure you're learning, they help you with certification, they pay for your certification. So yeah, they make sure you're learning, and they upskill you to like the world class level. Make sure that you're getting the necessary skills that you need. So yeah, I mean the talent is there. I mean, as Yon would say, talent is everywhere, but opportunity is limited. So definitely we have the talent here, and this business outsourcing companies coming in gives the talent the opportunity to grow and to learn more and to do even more.
That's great.
So I mean, there's a thought or a question that comes to mind about how many developers, designers, or tech talent are we producing every year? I mean, in Ghana, not necessarily selling to anybody, but producing in Ghana, averagely.
I mean, the numbers are not very clear on that.
How do we get that? How do we arrive at such a number?
So you to arrive at that, you would assume that people that are coming out of the computer science programs would be in there. But most of them are not ending up in working purely in tech. Some might work in IT support and all those stuff. Some might even go into banking. Yeah, and also the people that are doing agriculture science, that end up in tech. So the talent.
You did agriculture science.
Yeah. The talents comes from all over the place. There are certain programs that target training people that probably might not be in tertiary institution of like that train people to like get into the tech ecosystem. And also people just train themselves online to get to the ecosystem. So the number is not really there. There's not been any conclusive or exhaustive poll to get the actual number of tech talent and how many of them are getting into the ecosystem. Basically, but I would speculate, I don't know, based on the training programs and all those stuff. I mean, there's been training programs, that's train like hundreds of people every 6 months or so. People are coming from university. Tens of thousands of people are coming from university. Some that do end up in tech, some not. Also, some from other fields rather than computer science ending up university. So you could say we're churning out like thousands of talents into the ecosystem every year. I was talking to my colleagues about how easy it is for them to get a job. I think the consensus was a little bit splits, and but I think the core understanding is that if you have the skills, if you have the skills and the expertise, I think there's always a job for you in the tech ecosystem. If you have the skills, and expertise, if you get out of a job now, it's likely you find another job in the market. But yeah, I think if you're fresh and new, you might have to do some freelancing or pro bono just to learn. You might not get that well paid. I think remunerations in the tech field is a whole issue altogether. Some people say it's good. Some people say it's bad. Some people argue that for some entrepreneurs they can pay, and as entrepreneurs also, I think we understand that sometimes you just don't have the money to pay, but also the talents needs to be paid. I mean, that's what eventually leads to like the brain drain and some of these business outsourcing companies thriving, because foreign money, it's much more lucrative than this one. I remember one entrepreneur complaining on Twitter that he works with talents and like they train them, and every 6 months they are gone.
Was it on Twitter?
It was on Twitter. It was a Twitter space.
I remember.
Every 6 months.
Just one bringing new talent.
They are gone, and this. Yeah, I understand the pain and the frustration, but you should understand the economy as well.
It makes sense. It makes sense. But is there enough like upscaling and boot camps? Enough upscaling and boot camps for people looking to improve on their skills? Because recently we've seen a lot of them driving more people into tech than people upscaling. Because obviously, tech is painted as a good career to have.
Get rich.
But are people being upskilled in that same industry? Are there programs that promises on upscaling?
So I have not seen much of programs that promise upscaling in the industry.
That one is where you work and your God.
Yes. I think
your drive to.
Not general program, but I think where you work counts. But also the tech industry, it's in its nature, it's a very changing industry that you yourself, it will bear on you to catch up and train yourself to upgrade your skills. And if you have the drive to do that, there's a lot of platforms that you could do. There's Coursera, there's Udemy. There's a lot of free YouTube courses. People are giving like courses on YouTube for free. So if you have the drive, which you should, if you don't want to commit career suicide, you should be upscaling yourself every now and then. Maybe it's every 6 months or every year. Learn something new. Follow where the ship is heading. To arm yourself with a new skill, or I'm not saying the trend, but the future. Head to where the ship is heading, not where they are right now. Upscale yourself. So for some companies they do. For some big companies, they would urge you to get a certificate. So I think where I am right now, they're doing a target where by the end of this quarter, everybody's supposed to get certified in something. You have to pre-finance it, and when you pass, they pay for it.
Oh wow!
When you pass,
they pay for it.
When you pass,
it's a good motivation.
Yeah, it's a good motivation. So you choose your own certification.
But they are sure to pay back.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, then
they will pay.
That's a good one.
So yeah, I think that's a good step. I know a lot of other companies, MTN does certification for its employees all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some companies do, they encourage you to do it. And also I think ultimately it'll be on the individual to upskill themselves.
When you mentioned MTN, I think one key factor, key story around tech developers came to mind. So when we interviewed Dario, I think he mentioned they moved their engineering team from India and to Ghana, and it was to the testament that people building for our use cases must also understand what they are building. And I think the MTN app is what, like, one key. People might not like it that much, but it's also one key example of like using local
Yeah,
talent,
I mean,
and then local talent getting the job done. I have one few comments. So one was a hearsay. I heard someone say it, and then the second one is the person spoke to me directly. So one is a leader at Yellow Card. His comment on our talent and the nature of it, like our tech talent. I mean, in his comment, he said our talent is very good. They love talent from Ghana, and I think it's something that we should be very proud of.
Yeah.
I think we could even put it on a billboard somewhere. And then
Somebody, those who are creating the dead chef suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should put it on a billboard somewhere. And then one of the senior members at Fido mentioned that the Israelis, when they come, they love our talent compared to other regions that Fido operate. And I think it's a very good thing that, I mean, we should be very proud about it as an ecosystem. That, I mean, we are not just there, like we don't just have good musicians, we don't just have good footballers.
Yeah.
We also have good devs with the mind to build and things like that. I think it's something that we should be very proud of. I think like almost everybody should be singing this song.
Yeah.
Right.
I think to mention the company that helping their employees upskill. I think today or something I saw a post from Julian about how as a CEO, I mean it's his responsibility to make sure that his engineers upskill himself. So I think it's something that we would commend. To taking the initiative as a CEO to make sure that your talents they upskill themselves and get trained all the time.
So I'm curious, what are founders saying about hiring? I mean, maybe this will be our last question before we move to the next metric. But what are founders saying about hiring? Are they finding the right talent? Is it affordable, or they would prefer the talents are charge less or cost less?
So yeah, I think to what you are saying, I think probably founders are liking our hires. I mean, people like Fido, people from Fido, Yellow Card are liking. I mean, I think where I'm one of the founders is a foreigner, and he likes the talent here, and they do enjoy the talent very much. I think with the challenge would be also the local founders and people that are building the ecosystem having to compete with some of these foreign muscles in that sense.
It's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think they would have to find a way to bridge that. We were having a conversation at work about somebody hiring you and promising you
Equity.
Yeah. And most people there was like, no, they wouldn't take equity.
Yeah,
I think for me it depends on the credibility of the individual, the problem we are solving. Those two, credibility of the individual and the problem we are solving. If I don't trust you, I don't know why I should trust your equity. And the problem you are solving is not going anywhere. Why should I? No.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You would think you'd want to balance it with equity and sense of ownership, but also some people want the money in hand. You're giving them a promise as opposed to cash in the hand. They would probably take the cash in the hand. But these are kind of some of the strategies founders could consider using and to motivate employees to stay if they cannot give competitive salaries as, for a fund. And they should be creative, work environment, work culture. Some of these people, you would pay somebody 4,000, 5,000, but 3,000 you expect them to come to work every day.
Transfer traffic.
Yeah, sit in traffic and all those stuff. if you offer that flexibility, I think I don't understand the point of being in a physical location and working and solving some of these problems and the challenges of stable electricity and stable electricity and internet supply outside of work. I think that's why some of these founders and CEOs want people in a place where they could provide these basic amenities. But if you could invest in these people, to get them stable electricity and internet supply. I mean, even if you'd given them as a loan facility or something to get some of details, these are some of innovative way to retain talents and make sure that they don't leave everything.
And there are companies, Ghanaian companies, doing what you are saying, which we know of.
So I mean, I think that's some of the ways to retain talents like that.
All right. So rating talent. What mark are you giving to talent? Out of 10.
Please
Correct?
start. Yeah.
I give them 10.
10.
Wow.
Sharp. He has broken the scale.
10. Is that good?
No, I'm not
mark?
giving 10. But
He has what
What mark
I'm
are you?
just kidding.
there was
I
a
give him
table.
talent.
I
Yeah.
can't see the table.
Yeah, I do have it.
You have it. Did you copy it somewhere else?
No, I think I had it. In my
Okay, so
sheet.
I think you put the number.
Okay, you are giving it 10 or you're not giving it 10?
No, I'm not giving 10. I'll just
Massa.
I'll give me 10.
What? You
The
give me?
rest, I don't know what I'll give them.
Please.
Well, go in.
No, give yours. I'll give my last. I don't want it to
Talent.
influence you.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Talent.
I mean,
Interesting.
I think we have amazing talent across
Yes,
board. People that are pushing the envelope.
You said a lot. Rate it. Tell us.
Yeah, I'm putting it together to give. Let's say I'll do an 8.
8.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do the same because I think we have the quality there. Just that majority are low, not low quality, but like still in the early stages. Yes, yeah, in the early stages. Yeah, majority. I don't think we have like that many like high quality designers. Not just by work, by experience. It will be challenging. Developers it will be challenging. But let's say without experience, you can get like we have a lot. I mean, we are getting a lot per company, every company or something. So I think that's a lot
for me, technical talents. I think for all the FM, Facebook, Amazon, all those big folks, at every company I enter, I'll find a Ghanaian talent in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Every company I enter, I'll find a Ghanaian tech talent in there. And when I come to Ghana, most of the businesses that are doing very well, technical leadership are Ghanaians. And I love that. For that matter, I'm going to give them a strong 9.5.
I mean, I'm still looking at
the
I
quality.
mean, I think
number.
I agree with you with there are the talents in the big fang and all those stuff. I don't mean there's also another whole group of people that
So it's a pipeline, right? Yeah. And as you're seeing, there are a lot of the mid and then blow, a lot of those. Yeah. Most of them will already working in environments which already groomed the folks that we have.
Yep.
So chances are we are going to have maybe 2x or 3x of the people working in big tech and all of that is very, very high. And now even the interest about tech and also the position that it's a quick get rich scheme, which it is not. But at least people think it is. It's also getting a lot more people interested.
Yeah, but I think you can maybe continue the conversation after the episode. You can share your feedback with us too on your rating on tech talent in Ghana. But there's another metric which is infrastructure and adoption. Are Ghanaians using the tech being built? And you have a lot of interesting sides to mention.
Yes.
Yeah, do you have any stats to share with us?
So this one will be like we'll just be viewing stats. So I think you will see it on your screen.
Yep.
So we'll start with the overall adoption and the usage of devices and services in Ghana. So currently, according to we are social and Meltwater, their recent publication, which is just in February, Ghana has a population of 24 million human beings. And then out of that 24 million, cellular or phone connections is between 38.3 million. So the 38.3 million phones are connected, which is also like a year-on-year growth on changes, 6.9. 6.9%, with like 2.5 million addition. And then in terms of individuals using the internet currently in Ghana is 24.3 million. So out of 34 million of us, 24.3 million of us are using the internet, which for me amazes me. Like,
yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of numbers.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a
I feel
lot.
like it makes me feel like there are even younger ones, maybe under 18s, who are actively using.
Yes.
Mobile phones. Yes, I mean with the numbers mentioned, it clearly shows that. So
and that's a percentage of 69.9% of us who are actively using the internet.
Okay.
And I think it's very interesting. Like, that's like a huge market.
Yeah,
it's a very huge market.
But in how huge the market is, the issue is, are we spending online? Any stats on our online expenditure?
Online expenditure spend. I'll find something, but I don't think it will support the narrative I want to push. But anyway, I think there are some weekly online purchases. I think Ghana will be in there somewhere. Weekly online purchases. Okay. So out of the 24 million of us who are connected on the internet, 16 years plus of us, 12% of us buy things online on a weekly basis.
Okay.
And I think it might sound like a small figure, but that's 12% out of 24 million. That's also a huge figure.
Yeah, a huge figure. But how much are they spending?
Yeah.
That is another thing.
And one other thing too is, so last year when Bolt Food put out their stats, there's a key metric in there that I found very interesting. That's out of the markets that Bolt Food is on in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
In the whole wide world, I repeat. The person who orders food a lot was from Ghana.
Yeah, I remember that stat. How many orders per day was that?
The total orders was 1,000 plus per year. For a year.
That means the person ordered the average minimum of 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
And that's the whole world, though, not Africa, not West Africa. That's the whole world. The person who orders food a lot online on Bolt Food was from Ghana. That speaks a lot about our internet culture, right?
Yeah.
How we use the internet. And I think for most of us, we think the Ghanaian internet audience they don't spend, they don't even use the internet.
I think what might have also increased spending online is TikTok.
Surprised
how much people spend money on TikTok, and
Snapchat and
all these TikTok influencers are making a lot of profits from TikTok, because people are like buying stuff, buying tokens, and those digital
currencies,
characters and currencies and all those stuff, and they're spending it online. It's surprising to see in this economy, people are spending money on TikTok and giving gifts out.
When I even see some of the gifts me on Instagram, I'm like, really, people are gifting. Like, I mean, some influencer doing well already in the post just as a gift to me somewhere, and it's interesting. Like, somebody's probably giving some money somewhere. That's why it's still there.
Yeah, and then also talking about, videos, how we are consuming videos as a country. Out of the 24 million we just mentioned of us who are active on the internet, those who are 16 years plus, 99.0% of us watch videos online each week. And we are the second highest in the whole world.
Wow.
Above the global average. Second high, the global average is 92%.
Okay.
And us, 99.0% of us, each week, watch videos online.
I think our easiest consumption is actually video. We spend more on video maybe than any other thing online. And it's become common with the likes of TikTok and YouTube, where now almost every channel, every radio station is putting up something on YouTube. So it's now common for, a random person to just open YouTube and find content they want. So I see a lot of people consuming videos, interested in life, like both elite or whatever level. Like, they consume videos more than any other thing. So maybe data companies are also making a lot of money.
Yeah, it also makes sense why MTN's revenues on data keeps growing.
Yeah.
But one other interesting thing to back the video is when the number is that high, you might think it's just for entertainment purposes.
Yep.
But when you dig deep into it, people use online videos as a source of learning. This is for educational purposes. So they watch how-to videos, they watch tutorials, they watch education purposes. Out of that 99% of us streaming online, I'm coming on. I want to find the number. 43% of us are streaming because of education, educational purposes. Which I think is, I don't think so. When I saw this data, I was very surprised, because that's not a typical picture that we've all been painted. That a Ghanaian, 42% of us connected to the internet who are watching videos every week are watching it because we want to learn. Are watching it because we want to do DIY, want to learn how to do something. Are watching it because we want to learn a show like this and learn about data and go build better careers and better whatnot.
I mean, I don't do TikTok a lot, but I recently found that TikTok has a STEM section. I had not been looking there, and I looked at just they have a STEM section. And that's cool. I mean, I think that's a new feature, and I believe the Ghanaians are adopting it. They're becoming more sophisticated, and using some of these tools not just to do trends, but to consume educational materials. That's cool.
I think it's a very good thing. It also brings an opportunity for businesses and people who actually run marketing department. There's one data which is also very interesting on how Ghanaians perform brand research, especially with the use of social media. So once people are consuming for education, also people are consuming, like, validating brands with social media. Like, it creates a lot of opportunity for brands to create videos, to market their products, get buying for their customers and things like that. So I just mentioned how Ghanaians, the usage of social media for brand research. So 90% of us validate when you're doing brand research. The first point we go to is social media. 90% of the 28 or 24 million of us validate our brands using social media, which is very, very, very interesting. Interesting. It's also above the global average of 72%.
Wow.
So the Ghanaian online, for me, I think, is sophisticated than we think.
But I think the baseline is clear that there are lots of Ghanaians online. There are lots of Ghanaians online. Maybe expenditure online beyond a certain amount to maybe be halved. So let's say if you want people spending about maybe 100 cedis a month, they could be halved into like 50% of those online, or probably less. But I think 50% of those online makes a lot of sense. So that means there's that grey market for online transactions, online payments.
I think there's one last one on vlog, then I'll make one point. So Ghanaians who watch vlogs every week, out of the 24 million of us, I'm finding it 26% of us watch vlogs every week, which is also above the global average of 23%. And so putting all these figures together, I can say if you want to pursue a career as a content creator in Ghana, you can survive.
I
actually think so. You can survive. You can do that alone. And have a payday every day. Every month.
If you hit success. The upstream is hard, but I think if you put in the consistency, definitely it could. Because Ghanaian consume a lot, so people spend hours on TikTok and all the stuff.
I know people whose like money they used to buy food a day and money they used to buy data a day compete with each other.
Where did I see it? I think I was one of the surveys or the reports. I saw that the minimum expenditure online was around 50 cedis for data and stuff. And I was surprised, like
a day,
a month, a week, a month. It was a month. Minimum expenditure a month.
Minimum
on data was 50 cedis. And I was like, then that means if we are raising funds or making donations and we set the minimum at 50 cedis, it's actually cheap because everybody spends as little as that
on data.
Yes, at least as little as that on data. Meaning they can afford whatever they want to afford with that same price. So it makes a lot of sense that maybe the cost of items are a bit high, but the buying power of Ghanaians, ordinary Ghanaians, were born a bit higher.
Yeah.
At least to afford data. or to come online.
Starlink is maxed in Accra. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's another interesting.
Think about that.
point. So the infrastructure is getting there on solutions, tech solutions built in Ghana used by Ghanaians. I think there's also a growing number of it. I mean, starting from our telcos, there's a lot of usage. And interesting enough, USSD always leads or is ahead of web app, mobile app. So that's
Also, these days when you go to the App Store and the Play Store, when you see Ghanaian apps, you see it in millions, a million downloads. 4 million downloads. I mean, most of them 100,000 downloads, and like local built, run by Ghanaians and things like that. So I think like the Ghanaian online is sophisticated. It's also like it's also ready to use the product that we are building. Right? Like there's a market. I think one of the days that we feel like what you are building, you won't get anybody to use it. Like those days are far gone.
And you have definitely many alternatives to try your hands on. So it works. So what rating out of 10 would you rate the infrastructure and adoption in Ghana for tech infrastructure and adoption in Ghana? What rate are you giving?
You guys can start. I'll come.
I think I rate it at 8 because we have some good infrastructure in some of the areas we are leading compared to Africa, like mobile money and some things.
I don't think we talk about infrastructure. We need to talk about infrastructure. We just spoke about the data.
I mean, data usage or adoption, more of adoption, like people coming online and performing transactions online and being familiar with online content and online applications and all that. I think I'll give it an 8 or 8. Anyone?
I would also give it an 8. I think adoption is
growing.
It's growing and fast. You'd be interested how somebody's mother will be scrolling on TikTok. And stuff. It's interesting.
Surprising.
I know her mother will scroll on TikTok and see some news and call her and they'll have a
conversation.
And it's interesting.
And for a while, when we post videos of people who come on building Bytes, and realize that their parents are in there supporting them on Instagram and whatnot. It's so beautiful to watch. It's so beautiful to watch.
And adoption is increasing. So what will be your figure?
You know where my figure will be. I mean,
we don't see any strong something.
So why? Like, I'm pretty much excited about this part because I feel for a long time, especially people who have numbers or people who we think are credible, has been pushing a certain narrative, which I think isn't right. Like, typical one would be the Ghanaian doesn't have money to buy data to watch your video. Like, what do you mean? The number, this is what the number is saying. It's totally wrong. And also, they will say Ghanaians who stream are only in Accra. Last year on Spotify, one of the top regions was WA, which is up there. So, like, what are you saying? All of that. I feel like we have to like give the Ghanaian online some respect, like respect them, put some respect on their name, right? So I'll give them a strong 9.5 again.
Awesome. 9.5. That's
I give a strong 9.5.
So it marks out. We look at the last metric and
what's your 8?
Yes, I gave it an 8. We look at the last metric and we call it a 8. So the last metric, regulation and policy. Is Ghana creating an enabling environment for tech? Recently, there's been news on the Startup Act bill. We happen to get to know that some progress has been made on it, and the committee on it was submitted to the minister, which we found interesting. The speed at work. There's been a lot of improvement in infrastructure and broadband access. Gone are the days where like you had to get like connection before you could get broadband access. Now, just by the roadside, you have people like setting up broadband access for you. Mobile money policies, interoperability,
one of its kind,
and all that. How do we see the regulation and policy space in Ghana, including ease of doing business, government engagement, and all that? How do you see that space in Ghana?
How do you see? I think it's growing. I think the government is actively pushing the regulations to set the ground. To set the ground for such startups to be successful. But I think also there's a lot to be done. I think when you talk to the players in the industry, some of them you would feel their frustrations with some regulations that exist and how the regulators go about it. I think on paper, I mean we're doing well. we're pushing regulations.
On paper.
We're pushing regulations. I think I love the fintech passporting between Ghana and Rwanda.
Yes.
I think that's something that's commendable. So we pushing regulations well. I think the government's approach to digitization and letting people get access to technology all across the country is commendable. We're doing well, but I think there is a lot to be done, especially when it comes to executing these regulations. I find some inefficiencies in their execution. I mean, on paper, it's very thought out and planned, but in
pragmatically,
reality, there's a lot of inefficiencies in it. I mean, they do a lot of PRs like, oh, this is how we work, and it works very smoothly. But when you face the reality, it's kind of there is oppression, there is bureaucracy, and some pushback and all those stuff. So I think we're doing well, but I think what would have to change is not just on paper, but the culture, the attitudes, the mindset. Like we should have the mindset of wanting to actually see our startups succeed. We should balance it with protecting the ecosystem. And that was the mindset of every startup that comes into the economy, comes into the ecosystem. We bear collective responsibility to support them in all the ways that we can, so that they will be successful.
I think we are doing well, as Puga is saying, on paper, and I think we are doing well. But one thing I want to talk about briefly is the e-levy. So
okay, that's
it affected our economy, our digital economy largely, but I don't think many of us have really painted that picture or seen that dip of where we could have possibly reached, and because of that policy, where we dipped so down. So I'm looking at some data from GSMA. So the projections on before the bill was passed. That was May 2022, and then up to January 2023. In terms of P2P transactions, there was a dip of minus 3.1% of our potential. I think like things like this hurts the economy. It hurts the growth of startups, and if it hurts it, but also a good thing that the new government has decided to take it off. According to them, they are saying by the end of March, it will be taken off, which I think is a good thing. But things like this, sometimes I feel like it's a small thing happening to just a small set of people or a small set of companies, but it generally affects everybody.
That's true. Like you have said, yes. Theory practicality is a bit of a challenge. I mean, for me, looking at the side of investment and moving money, I think sometimes lowering some of the barriers for investors to get into our market or invest in our market could also be a great push for them. Because looking at some investors who have to have a certain minimum amount of balance or account in their country before they can even do certain transactions, or even
isn't that to protect us?
Yes, it protects us, but sometimes also to make your ecosystem more liquid. It doesn't protect you. It's like,
honestly, I feel like investors are giving too much breaks. Honestly, that's what I think.
No, I mean,
like foreign investors.
we are
actually eating our pies.
No,
so why do you want us to lessen there?
Not really. So, and not in tech.
We're talking about tech.
Yes, they're not even.
We're talking about tech here.
They are the ones who are trying to bet in here, and
please,
because of the unfavorable conditions, that's how our companies are setting up in Delaware and all that. Because that is where it's favorable. That is where they have less tax incentives. More tax incentives than.
Do they have more? I think it's just
it's Libra.
Want to have an outlook of where their money is. They want more control of outlook.
No, but it also has a better taxing conditions than even other states, even in the US. That's why people prefer like Delaware, for instance.
Maybe comparative to the US, but not necessarily to the Ghanaian market. I think investors prefer Delaware because they have more oversight.
They're not going to send money to your Ghana account.
Definitely, but we can create that safe outlook, safe condition, open market
for people to come and take over opportunities.
No, not take over opportunities, for us to draw more people to participate in our opportunities. I mean, look at markets like the UAE and co. Definitely, there's a lot of inherent markets, but there's also a lot of potential money can run in that market because it doesn't hold your money down. It allows you to move your money freely. You can set up offices easily.
So,
you can open accounts. I mean,
not
easily
to
some extent.
outrightly disagree with you, but one of the markets that we don't have a lot of local players in there is our financial market.
Yeah.
Especially with our universal banks.
Okay.
And that is run by a lot of foreign entities. And to be frank, I'm not a finance person, but I don't think those people are helping us. As people who are close to the finance market will say, the unit in Ghana is a small subset of a small subset.
Yeah.
So decisions taken in that market doesn't really affect them. So they don't have it at heart, right? Okay. Someone who have it at heart will be someone who is really like, he really wants to do something about it. That would be someone like our local folks.
But local
so
folks
in that, let me finish making my point. So using that as a case study, I don't think it should be an easy market for foreigners to play in. I think the standards in there might not be so tight, but I think it's okay. I would not want to advocate for them bringing it down.
In tech, I like not just advocating for them. I'm not saying for outsiders. I'm even saying even insiders. Giving us the room to facilitate things longer and more. I mean, in certain markets, there were conditions like matching. So let's say if a startup, an early stage startup is raising money, there were conditions where government will say, okay, we'll match your raise. So if you raise $1 million, we'll match you that. It made it easier for...
You want something like that?
I mean, some of those things, we are not yet there maybe, but I think we have a lot of money that we'll be spending that to see we are not there. It's also like a deep concern because we underrate a lot of money expenses here. Not many startups are raising, or there are a lot of early stage startups who anything less than even $1 million.
We'll give them
a longer time period and all that. I think there should be a long-term regulation policies to police some of these areas to make it much better, much more attractive.
The minister made an allocation for businesses. Ejumapa.
Okay.
Ejumapa fund. I think something like 100 million or 200 million. I'm not too sure, but something like that.
So some of these things policies
the recent budget reading
to enable businesses to grow faster. Get more capital in, match it, grow the whole market, the pie of the market. The market pie, because the bigger we make it, the easier money flows, the more attractive it is to global investors, local investors, people who have to move their monies out of the country to invest in other places, or even invest in other industries, could focus on bringing some of the monies in, because people invest a lot in other industries, which are even more costly than sometimes the tech industries. But that the value in tech industry has not been made obvious.
Yeah.
And that is why we need government to, not government, but the whole ecosystem, create policies or support regulation or drive certain agendas that would make people see, okay, this company, when in 5-10 years around, can be more valuable than any manufacturing company, can be probably more valuable than any, and the time it will take for it to get there is faster than any other maybe industry you could think of. But that light has not been shared. I think it will require some deep understanding, some deep knowledge, and some deep reflection on how we can move our economies in significant marks. Sometimes the 2%, 3% economic growth is amazing. But if you check other countries who have grown on the back of technology, it's been faster. Technology has sped up some of those growth. Even
someone is getting bought for 32 billion.
Like one company for 32 billion.
What's our GDP?
Anyway, but that's it on regulation policy. What's your rating? I mean, for me, regulation policy to start with, I'm going to rate at 6. I think we've done well. No, we've done very well. But like, there is more we can do to speed up our growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do 7.
You do 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I'll do 5.
You do 5. Wow. I thought it was going to be worse. You do 5.
I'll do
okay,
5.
so that's interesting. Poker, want to give us the marks for the various.
Should I rate for Aquile? I can rate for. I can rate for if she disagrees, she will comment.
No, let's get our average.
Okay.
Can I rate for it? If she disagree, she will comment in the section.
You cannot rate for it.
I can predict.
What's our average too?
So we average 7.5, which is not bad.
Yeah.
For the entire ecosystem.
Yes. For I think we did 5 sections.
Yeah.
7.5
Yes.
out of 10.
Out of 10. Yeah,
That's
that
a
means
pass.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
pass.
that's a pass, and also it shows like more room for improvement.
Yeah.
It means like we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pass. You know, a 7.5 is easily a pass. In some schools, you know, even
Yeah.
60 is a pass.
All right, so yeah, in tech definitely is an A. So if you are watching, give us your ratings in the various metrics we
If you
consider the
disagree, to
five.
let us know.
If you disagree, to let us know.
Back your disagreement with facts, not feelings.
Exactly. And we encourage you to engage with our posts across social media as well, and on Spotify, on YouTube, or we want to get your feedback. How are you rating the Ghana digital economy, and what do you think we can do to make it better? Other opportunities will be shared in the podcast description. Thank you so much for joining us today for the part 2. It was nice having you on. Stay tuned and let someone know that we are truly looking at Ghana's digital ecosystem. Enjoy your week and see you another time. Bye-bye.
Bye.